Dear US and UK friends, my dear friend, let me try to translate my book part by part and translate it using some online software and see what the translation will give once I will have translated and then read it to you. So allow me to start by the introduction. Danger Zone, testimonial from a crisis management professional. In the dark night, on the black stone, a black ant. Only God sees it. To my father, High Mountain Military Academy, Ski Scouting Training Platoon Number 2, 1961. To Captain Patrick DeVos of the 6th Airborne Marines Infantry Regiment, my brother in arms, killed in Bangui, Central Africa in 1997. To my wife and children. Introduction by Rémi LAINE, director of the documentary Ransom. A man of honor. In this street of the spitting gun must walk a man who is not a killer, who is neither crazy nor frightened. He must be a complete man, a man like everyone else, and at the same time an exceptional man. He must be, to use a slightly stale phrase, a man of honor. Raymond Chandler, after World II, The Lady in the Lake, 1943. Discovering his book, I would say that one of the only things I have in common with David is our childhood reading, which undoubtedly helped to inoculate us with the virus of restlessness and adventure. Apart from that, David strikes me as a man apart. I am not much of a go-getter. He is not afraid to go. He is not put off by the mud, the mosquitoes, the bad guys, all the things that keep me away from certain region. I am full of doubt, David reveals in actions. But I'm still unaware of all this when I set out to meet him. I had been told he was an infrequent visitor, too outspoken, unencumbered by etiquette or the polite language of good society, and in short, he had the reputation of an ugly duckling in a swamp well stocked with crocodile, by the way. At the time, I was scouring the world for a crisis manager to play the lead role in my documentary film about hostage negotiators. My main character, a dark Venezuelan cowboy, had just dropped me. He, too, was one of Chandler's heroes. But he felt that allowing himself to be filmed in his day-to-day activities would make him a target for gunmen of all stripes. After a few days of shooting, he asked me for a 7-figures retainer to continue, so that once the film was on the screen, he could retire from the cars in Golden Exile in Miami. My talented producer had put together a comfortable budget for a documentary, but only in 6 figures. In other words, the ultimate exigency of my Caracas comrade had put an end to our collaboration. And I ended up despairing of finding someone who would agree to let me follow in his footsteps. The French, I had been led to believe, were half salted in the very closed world of crisis management, for the simple reason that crisis managers generally operate on behalf of a major international insurance companies in countries where the rule of law is severely shaky. France is not one of them, despite the chagrin of those who don't travel enough. And that hit the Anglo-Saxon and a few Latinos who hold the upper hand. Suffice to say, I was going to meet David with few illusions. We had an appointment at a security show somewhere in the Greater Lyon area. Jeep, chewing gum, slightly skimpy suits and high shoes, arm in arm with a few eminent spookies. I can't say that at first glance I had given much thought to the future of our relationship. The icing on the cake is that during this first meeting, David rushes me a little. He is in a hurry to get back to his business. He's got a former police commissioner holding his leg to secure a career change in private security. He's got little time to spare for me. He finds the idea of a documentary film about his job, which isn't a job, incongruous, so everything comes together to ensure that we will never see each other again. Who knows why? Something about this man intrigued me. I didn't let him go. I went back to see him, spent some time with him. First, he told me anecdotes, then stories. He ended up introducing me to a few contacts in his address book. A South African, a former French legionnaire based in Nigeria, an Australian, two Danish, a Spanish, a British guy, and top of the top, the legendary Chuck, a Texan and former FBI chief negotiator who, as I progressed in my adventure, I would learn was a kind of godfather of crisis negotiation and hostage situation. I discovered from the quality of the welcome I received when I claimed him that David was an essential element in a sort of international brotherhood. I don't know if he felt sorry for me, if he was seduced by my relentlessness, or if he was finally moved by unfeasible film projects, but he agreed to take me with him on a mission. We went to Africa and got to know each other got to know each other a little better. He enlightened me on his profession, its codes, its subtleties, its traditions, what you can say, not much, and what you must keep quiet, the essential, whatever the cost. Thanks to these contacts and what he taught me about this environment, which is as close as an oyster, I ended up making my film Ransom, which has been shown in over 20 countries. I owe it to him, and that's already a lot. But more than that, David reinforced my conviction that there is sometimes a gulf between a first impression and what you find out about men and women. That it takes time to get to the heart. And then something more complex, which I also learned from former hostages. It's in a crisis that status is judged. At such times, the one who will act as savior, braving all dangers, sometimes finds himself, not to say often, at the antipodes of everything that a priori attracts you to the other: belief, political or religious opinion, feelings, tastes, and color. I have seen a former hostage, a refined left wing intellectual, form an unbreakable, life and death brotherhood with a rough and ready former Special Forces soldier who came to free him with a gun in his fist from the cesspool where a few brigands were holding him. All this to say that I must not spend all my vacation with David. But not only did I spend some unforgettable moments with him, and if one day, by chance, something really bad were to happen to me, he'd be one of the very few people I dream of having by my side. Rémi LAINE, director, documentary Ransom.